Okay. Welcome to class. Happy Tuesday. Those of you joining live, you've heard me say this about 1,000,000 times, but do grab 2 blocks, set them to the side. We're going to start on our backs today, so go ahead and lay on down. When we get to our backs, we're going to start an active or constructive rest. So the inner knees come to touch and the feet walk out wide. And there's a magical distance of feet away from each other and feet away from seat that allows you to feel like the musculature is not doing any work here. So when you get down, close the eyes and make micro adjustments until you find your distance of feet away from each other and feet away from seat. And then from here, edge your left shoulder and your right shoulder away from each other so you find the width of your torso and let the arms come out wide. And allow the eyes to close if they haven't already. And almost right away, start to control the breath, breathing longer and smoother on inhale and exhale. And if you're still getting set up because you joined late, continue to get set up, but start to control the breath as you do and let that be part of the practice. So you don't wait until you're on your physical yoga mat, like this island of practice, this island of yoga, right? Let that be permeable throughout the rest of your life, throughout the adjustments, the coming off the mat, the getting ready, the walking away. Count the length of your inhale and match the length of your exhale. So if your inhale is 4, your exhale is 4. If in is 3, out is 3. If it's 5, it's 5, vice versa. And as you count and lengthen the breath, imagine that you could just settle a little bit more into the body, a little bit more into the ground, the earth, the floor beneath you. Now that we've got the length of the breath, imagine you could fill up the entire volume of your torso. So not just lungs, but abdomen and into pelvis. And imagine that you have more dimension. There's not just front and back. There's front and back and middle. There's not just left and right. There's left, middle, and right. And so that when you breathe, you have a dimensionality. You've got a circumferential feel to the entire body. Two more breaths here. If you're still counting, keep counting. If you're not, get really familiar with that feeling of dimensionality to the breath, increasing volume of the body. From here, gently draw one knee and then the next into the chest. Give them a squeeze. If you want to rock side to side or roll the knees in circles, you can do so. We're not going to take a ton of time to do that today. But you're going to start to come into center with your hands on your kneecaps. And for a moment, press the knees away from you, like wanting to press your knees towards the wall or whatever's in front of you at the top of your mat. And feel how the low back lifts up and off the earth. And then draw the knees tight in towards you. Elbows will bend. And feel the low back drop down into the ground again. So now draw the knees away from you and press the knees away. Feel how the low back lifts. And draw the knees in. Now from here, flex into the feet, draw the knees away. Now imagine that your knees are in a 90 degree, and as you press the feet away, we're now sort of in this neutral place, right? We can press away really far so that the back lifts up, and then draw your sacrum, the back of the pelvis, down. There's somewhere a little in between those two places. And then from here, you can keep your hands on your knees if that helps you feel where you are in space, but start to draw the feet away. And imagine if you were standing, you were pigeon toes. You're gonna draw the heels out, the toes and the inner knees will come to touch. So slight internal rotation. It's gonna widen our butt bones and narrow our hip bones, our hip points. And now I want you to draw the heels in and knees away. Toes will stay away from each other. We're gonna externally rotate. That's gonna draw our butt bones together and our frontal hip points wide. So you can use your hands if you need to, if you like to, or you can just move internal rotation, pigeon toe the feet. Say as if we were in a chair with pigeon toes, heels away, toes in, and then heels together, knees away, external rotation. Good. You can play with the positioning of the feet. As you come into pigeon toe, you can really draw the heels away, draw the toes farther in towards each other. And then as you draw the feet together, perhaps you draw the soles of the feet to touch, coming more towards a Baddha Konasana. Good. Do this once more, internal rotation, pigeon toe the feet. Feel the back of the pelvis widen, right? The sits bones widen, hip bones narrow. And then again, soles of the feet or just the heels to touch. Feel the frontal hip points widen and the sits bones narrow. Good. And they come into center. Bring the hands to behind the knee creases. Press the feet towards the wall in front of you. Start to round the head, neck, and back up. Pick yourself up and draw the knees into the chest. As you draw the knees into the chest, drop the feet down for a moment. Rock towards your perineum or your pelvic floor. A lot of you have been in class for the past month or so. So locate the pelvic floor now and draw pelvic floor up to the crown of the head nice and tall. Walk the feet together, knees come together. See if you can keep that same sort of length in the front, back, and sides of the body as you pick the feet up and come back into that 90 degrees. Really use the hands here, especially if you just woke up or in. Good. If you want to lengthen the arms, you can lengthen the arms. You can draw them out in front of you. But now draw the inner knees to touch. Draw the heels out wide, pigeon toe. Good. And draw the heels together. Knees out wide, externally rotate. One more time. Internally rotate here. Feet out, heels out. Good. Externally rotate. Nice. Hands behind the knees. Lengthen the knees out like they're coming at 10 and 2 and come to sit in a wide-legged straddle. I'm gonna face you guys. As you come in a wide-legged straddle, again, it's the feet are out at 10 and 2 like you're looking at a clock. The pelvis is at 12, right? Pubic bone, the front of the pelvis, is towards 12. From here, drive the heels down, pop a little bend into the knees, bring the hands behind you. So with hands behind you, imagine now that the pelvic floor is facing down towards the floor, crown of the head up towards the sky. Close the eyes for a moment and imagine that again, you could breathe volume into the entirety of the torso. So it's not just the top of the chest and the lungs, but it's the abdomen, it's the pelvis. And we're driving the heels down with a bend in the knees, pelvic floor facing down. One more full breath here. Good. Gently blink the eyes open. Let the knees soften down towards the ground and let yourself sort of sink back into your pelvis. Keep your hands behind you for a moment and kind of sit like you were just sitting, hanging out. So let the feet go. You can sort of shake the legs out. Let them be really soft. Good. Bring your hands behind you, V. Yeah. Like really sit into your pelvis like not a yoga teacher. Yeah. And then bring your left arm up towards the sky. Start to turn both sets of toes. So both feet will turn to your right. And you're going to bring the left arm over towards the right-hand side of the body and turn the toes towards the right. So both sets of feet turning towards the right, flex into the feet. So we have an internal rotation in the left leg, external rotation in the right leg. Bring the left arm up, bring it behind you. Toes come back through neutral. Reach the right arm up and overhead. Now both sets of toes, right, both feet turn to the left. Flex into the feet like you're standing. So internal rotate the right leg, external rotate the left leg. Good. Right arm up, just like a big windmill. And you're going to come back over to the right side and imagine that the hands on the floor, you're not sinking down to the right hip. You're using the hands on the floor to lift up and out of the right and left hip. Left leg internal, right leg external rotation. Left arm up, windmill over to the other side. So as you go to the other side, really internally rotate the right leg, externally rotate the left leg. So both sets of toes turning to the left. Turn your left toes to the left V. Yeah, good. And then right arm up, come back over to the right side. Left arm up. Both sets of toes, I'll move my feet back so you can see. Both sets of toes facing to the right. Good. I'm not even sure you can see my feet. I'll move my camera. Boop. Okay. So stay on the right side. Both sets of toes towards the right, pressing into the fingertips like you'd come up and out of your hip points. Good. Draw the right knee in. Left leg, come back to neutral. Draw the right heel in. Bring your hands to your knees. Imagine they were at 10 and 2. For a moment, imagine that you could internally rotate both thigh bones and tip forward. Feel your seat draw back, and imagine your sits bones could widen. And then imagine you could externally rotate both legs, and you sit back just a touch and widen the frontal hip points. Good. Bring the hands back to the right. Lengthen the right leg. Flex the toes towards the right. Left arm up towards the sky. Windmill the arms up and over to the left. Both sets of toes turn towards the left. And go extreme here. The left toes to the left, right toes to the left, internal rotation of right, external rotation of left. Press into the fingertips. Imagine you could grow taller up and out of the pelvis. And then from here, bend into the left knee, draw the left heel towards the groin, and then come to sit back into your pelvis. Draw the heel closer in with the feet, hands on the knees. Again, imagine you're in that clock face, 10 and 2 with the knees, with the hands. Tip forward and imagine, right? I know that the left leg is an external rotation, but imagine you could internally rotate to draw the sits bones wider. And then imagine you could externally rotate both. And now you can really turn the right toes out to the right as you narrow the sits bones, widen the frontal hip bones. Good. Hands behind you. Extend the left leg. Good. Good. Now bring the hands underneath you. Pop a bend into the knees. Rock forward into the pelvic floor. Draw the big toes up towards the sky. Good. Hands behind you. Cross the ankles. Come up and over into tabletop. In tabletop, find knees underneath hips, hands underneath shoulders. From here, draw your feet out wide. So again, we're coming into pigeon toe. Internal rotation of the thigh bones. Sink the hips back in space. There's going to be a little bit of constriction or sort of congestion in the frontal hip points, so we're drawing them more narrow. Good. From here, you're just going to sink the hips back as far as you feel comfortable. Draw the feet back to neutral, and then externally rotate the thigh bones. That brings you into cow pose. Lift the heart, lift the tail. From here, round. Keep the feet where they are. Inhale, draw pubic bone to sternum long, cow pose. Exhale, round. Start to move with your breath. Count if you wish. If you'd like to move in a different way than just forward and back with cat and cow, you can rotate ribs, hips in circles, figure eights. If you'd like to move away from tabletop entirely, you may do so. Know that we've got about 10 breaths, moving the spine. Yeah, if it's stillness, it's stillness. Regardless of what you're doing, let the volume of the torso expand, gain more dimension with the breath. Good, about 2 more. Slowly make your way up into tabletop. In tabletop, again, it's hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Tuck your toes and sink your hips back in space. Then the knees come up and then in towards the torso. And once you catch your connection, and I know some of you have sort of the experience that this is not happening in your body, but imagine that they'll connect, thighs catch torso, slowly lift the hips up and back into a short downward facing dog. In the short down dog, the knees bend to send the gaze forward, and the balls of the feet press down and the heels lift to lift the butt bones. So there's a play between those two opposites. Knees bend draws the gaze forward. Balls of the feet touch down, heels of the feet lift up to lift the butt bones. From here, walk yourself forward into a plank pose, walk the hands forward, come into your full measure. In plank pose, find the heels back, crown of the head forward. For a moment here, drop the heels out, find your internal rotation, find your pigeon toe here. And then draw the heels together and find the balls of the feet, the heels knock in, external rotation. Good. Find neutral, lift the hips up and back, and your normal downward facing dog. If you'd like to walk the feet out or paw the hands out, you may do so. As you play around with gravity, as it feels in your downward facing dog today, again, more dimension with the breath, filling up the pelvis, the torso, the entirety of you. Bend the knees, lift the hips. Imagine that the bend of the knees could draw the gaze slightly forward. A driving down of the balls of the feet and the lifting of the heels lifts the butt bones. Good. From here, take a slow walk to the top of your mat. When you get to the top of your mat, it's a 2 fist width distance apart between the feet. Find a bend of the knees. Bring the hands out in front of the feet, not quite at 10 and 2, but more in line with the feet. As you bend the knees, it sends the gaze forward. From here, lift the butt bones, let the gaze drop. Let the head drop, let the arms stay long. Send the knees forward again, lift the gaze. And then once more, step into the feet, lift the hips. Keep connection of torso and thighs if possible, head drops. Now interlace the hands behind the head. Find a bend of the knees. Maybe elbows come to shins. And then from here, very slowly roll up. Keep a bend of the knees as you step into the feet and you roll yourself all the way up. When you come to stand, the interlace flips up towards the sky. Imagine the center of the feet moves to the center of the pelvis, the center of the rib cage, up through the center of the head, into the webbing of the hands. From here, slowly release the hands, let them drop down. Inhale, sweep the arms up again. And exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees to bend at the waist. Inhale, draw the hands on the shins, come up half the way. And exhale, bend the knees, step back to downward facing dog. Good. In down dog, bend the knees, lift the hips, slowly lift the right leg up towards the sky. Flex into the foot and internally rotate the thigh bones here. So pigeon toe the right foot specifically out. The right hip will pop out to the right. You're centering your tailbone in between your two hips. Draw it through knee to nose crunch. Step the right foot in the center of your yoga mat and bring your right hand to your knee to move the center of your chest onto the knee. Find the back heel back in space. Draw the hands out to 10 and 2. As you lunge the right knee forward, it lifts the gaze. As you draw the left heel back in space, it centers you. Imagine even here, you could internally rotate the thigh bones ever so slightly. It picks up the seat. Nice. As you pick up the seat, keep that same intention as you draw the right knee farther forward. Good. From here, walk the right hand over towards the left-hand side of your mat. Walk down, wide-legged forward fold. Turn the toes to face the left-hand side of your room. Adjust the feet if you need. Keep the hands underneath your shoulders onto fingertips as you turn your left toes to the left. And same thing with your right toes, they draw to the left. So now we're in that same internal rotation of right leg, external rotation of left leg that we were doing in our seat, but now we're in a wide-legged forward fold. Lift the gaze. Draw the left toes to the center, right toes to the center. Now right toes to the front of your mat, left toes towards the front of your mat. So externally rotate right thigh bone, internally rotate left thigh bone. Walk the hands back to the front of your mat. Bend back into the left knee, left heel lifts. Step forward, forward fold. In your forward fold, hands come forward, not quite 10 and 2. Bend the knees, lift the gaze. From here, step into the center of the foot. Lift the butt bones, drop the head. Once more, bend into the knees, lift the gaze. This time, lift the butt bones, interlace the hands the non-habitual way behind the neck. Bend into the knees, maybe the shins and elbows meet. And very slowly roll all the way up. As you roll up, when you come to stand all the way at the top and the head lifts, the interlace flips up towards the sky. And again, imagine that the center of the feet could move through the center of the pelvis, the chest, the head, into the webbing of the hands. And slowly drop the hands down. Your next inhale, sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, fold as you wish. Inhale up half the way. And exhale, move back to downward facing dog. Come forward towards plank pose. Take a moment here. Find internal and external rotation with the feet. So experiment with pigeon toe. And then drawing the heels together. Then find neutral. Bend the knees, come up and back, downward facing dog. From here, lift your left leg up towards the sky, and right away, flex the heel back towards the back wall. Internally rotate the left thigh bone. Imagine you could do the same with the right. Widen the butt bones. Draw the left knee through a knee to nose crunch. Step it forward to the middle of the mat. Use your left hand, especially if you've got, a little bit more flesh in the front of your body. Use your left hand to center your knee on your sternum. Hands come out wide to 10 and 2. Draw the left knee forward to lift the gaze towards the top of your mat. Draw the back heel back in space to center you. And then imagine, right, it's pretty tough if you've got the knee right on the sternum, but imagine you could internally rotate both thigh bones and lift the seat up just a touch. Good. And then send the knee forward again. Good. Draw the left hand over towards the right hand side of the mat. Walk the hands down the mat, wide-legged forward fold. Turn the toes to face the right hand side of your room for just a moment, hands underneath shoulders. Now from here, draw the right toes out to the right, left toes to the right. Right as you see it right now. Yeah, keep your hands where they are. Good. Tent onto fingertips. Imagine you could broaden the collarbones. Draw the feet back to neutral. If your mat's super sticky, that's going to feel a little rough, so you can pick up your feet if you need. Turn the left toes back to the left or the top of your mat. Right toes to the left as well. So external rotation of the left thigh bone, internal rotation of the right thigh bone. Good. Walk the hands towards the top of the mat. Unstick the back heel, find your lunge. Look forward, step forward, forward fold. Hands come forward, a little bit narrower than 10 and 2. Bend into the knees. Imagine the knees could catch the torso. Now from here, imagine you could internally rotate the thigh bones, lift your butt up just a little bit. And then externally rotate. Without moving the feet, it'll send the knees forward. So without moving the feet, internally rotate the thigh bones, lift your butt up. And then externally rotate, send the knees forward. Drop the head. You can interlace the hands if you'd like, or if you don't. And slowly roll up all the way to stand. When you come to stand and the head lifts, close the eyes, pause. And as you pause here, now feel for the dimensionality of the breath as you don't just breathe into the front of the body, the front of the chest, but you breathe into left and right and back as well.
Feel for the four corners of the feet. Imagine that the big toe mound to the outer heel could stretch away from each other. The pinky toe to the inner heel stretch away, as if you could find more surface area with your feet on the floor. Gently blink the eyes open. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And exhale, forward fold as you wish all the way down. Inhale up half the way. And exhale, step back to downward facing dog. In down dog again, you're bending the knees, lifting the hips, draw the gaze forward ever so slightly, lift the right leg up. As you lift the right leg up, pigeon toe the foot, internally rotate the thigh bones, step the right foot forward. Step it to the center of the mat, so not off to the right, but the center. Use the hand again to bring the knee into the center of the chest. Hands out into 10 and 2. Center yourself in your lunge, so send the right knee forward, lift the gaze, draw the left heel back in space. Internally rotate the thigh bones, it lifts the pelvis up just a touch. Good. From here, walk the hands over towards the left. Again, you're finding your wide-legged forward fold. Hands underneath shoulders on fingertips. If the floor feels really far away, you can bring blocks underneath here. But again, we're going to turn the left toes to the left. Right toes turn the same way. Again, recall that sensation of being in the seat and sitting in that wide-legged forward fold. Internally rotate right thigh bone, externally rotate left. Now turn the toes towards the top of your mat. Right toes turn towards the top. Left heel kicks out. Now from here, keep your hands where they were for your wide-legged forward fold. And imagine the outer edge of the left heel to the big toe of the left foot could stretch away from each other. Inner heel of left foot to pinky side edge of the left foot could stretch away from each other. Walk your hands towards the top of your mat. Bend back into your right knee. Come all the way up into Warrior Two. When you come into Warrior Two, again, recall it's the same rotation of the legs. Internal rotation of the left, external rotation of the right. Hook onto opposite thumbs. And imagine that from the pelvic floor through the center of the chest, up to the thumbs could be one long line. From here, let the internal rotation of the left thigh bone draw the left hip to the left and slowly draw your gaze towards the top of the mat. As you draw your gaze towards the top of the mat, imagine that from pubic bone to sternum, you could lift and draw longer. Keep turning towards the top of the mat. Let the back heel lift. You're coming into a high lunge. Send the right knee forward, back heel back in space. Good. And then very slowly drop the hands down, step forward, forward fold. Inhale up half the way, draw the gaze forward, bend the knees slightly. Exhale, fold. This time, inhale, root to rise. Come all the way up, use the power of the legs, sweep up. Hook onto opposite thumbs. Bend into the knees and imagine you're diving into a pool on the right-hand side of your mat. Sink weight into the left foot. And even here, pubic bone to sternum gets a little bit longer. Good. Slowly come to center. When you come to center, release the hands, but keep reaching them up. Bend into the knees, pubic bone to sternum lifts. Take an inhale, and exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale up half the way. Exhale back to downward facing dog your way. So if you'd like to move through something, you can move through it. If you don't, you don't. All of you know what you can and cannot do, what you must and must not do. Come forward, plank pose, just to measure. Heels back, heart forward. Good, bend knees, come up and back, down dog. Lift your left leg and right away, pigeon toe the left foot. Good, nice, Dave. As you pigeon toe the left foot, imagine you can internally rotate the right thigh bone as well. Draw the left knee through knee to nose crunch. Step it in the middle of your mat. Use your left hand on the left knee to center the knee and the sternum. Hands to 10 and 2. Internally rotate the thigh bones, lift the pelvis. Bend back knee, bend back into the left knee. And then back heel back in space. Good. Draw the hands over to the left. The right, sorry. Walk your hands down to the right-hand side of your mat, wide-legged forward fold. Good. When you come into your wide-legged forward fold, for just a moment, even though we sort of know where we're going, for just a moment, imagine this is the wide-legged forward fold, hands underneath the shoulders, tented onto fingertips. Internally rotate both thigh bones here and let the butt lift. Let the sits bones widen. Good. Now it's right toes, kick out to the right. Left toes, kick out to the left. Hands stay exactly where they are. It's really tempting to move the hands here. But again, just recall that seat that we had at the beginning of class. Internally rotate left thigh bone. Externally rotate right. There you go, Gary. Good. And then come back through center, right where we started. And now left foot kicks out to the left. Right heel kicks out to the right. Internal rotation of the right. External rotation of the left. Walk the hands towards the top of your mat. Bend into your front knee and come all the way up into your warrior two. So when you come into your warrior two, I know I cued this on the other side, but I didn't cue it just now. Right big toe to right outer heel stretch away from each other. Right pinky toe to right inner heel stretch away from each other. So tons of surface area on the back foot. As you bend into the right knee, hook onto opposite thumbs the non-habitual way. Internally rotate the right thigh bone, externally rotate the left. And imagine that your fingertips, your thumbs, through the middle of the head, through the center of the chest, all the way down to the pelvic floor is one long line. Good. Now use the internal rotation of the right thigh bone to draw the right hip out to the right. That turns the body towards the top of the mat. As you turn the body towards the top of the mat, lift from pubic bone to sternum. So put a little air in the chest. Draw yourself up and back. Good. Keep turning, turning, turning. Come high off the back heel. Come into a high lunge. Bend into the front knee. Back heel back in space. Good. Internally rotate the right thigh bone. Now the left thigh bone as well. Slowly release the hands down. Step forward, forward fold. Inhale up half the way. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, come all the way up. Hook your thumbs the non-habitual way. Bend into the knees. Dive up and over to the left like you're diving into a pool on the left-hand side of your mat. Heavy into the right foot. Even here, imagine pubic bone to sternum lifts a little bit, so there's more volume in the front of the body. Lift from left hip to left lower rib. Slowly come back through center. Keep the hands where they are. Lift the chest. Take an inhale. And exhale, forward fold all the way down. Inhale up half the way. Exhale your way back to downward facing dog. Step, step. If you'd like to move through something else, you move through something else. Good. Nice, Mom. Beautiful. Once you're in dog, bend the knees, lift the hips. Right leg lifts. Again, internally rotate the thigh bones. Draw the right knee through a knee to nose crunch. Step it forward. Walk the hands down the left-hand side of the mat. Come right into your wide-legged forward fold. Turn the toes out to the left. Internal rotation of the right. External rotation of the left. And then go the opposite way. Left heel drops towards the back of the room. Right foot turns to the right. Again, find the volume of the left foot. Big toe to outer heel, pinky toe to inner heel. Bend back into the right knee, walk the hands forward, step into the right foot, come up, warrior two again. Again, warrior two, hook the thumbs above. Internal rotation of the left thigh bone. External rotation of the right. This time, step into the center of the right foot as you lengthen the right leg. And again, you still have a long line of energy from pelvic floor through the chest up to the hands. Internally rotate the left thigh bone so you draw the gaze forward towards the front of the room. Good. Pick up the back heel again. Keep the front leg coming towards straight. I don't like to say straight because, you know, you guys all know I just talk about it enough. And imagine you could internally rotate both thigh bones here. Good. Let that be what centers you as you lift up and out. Slowly bend back into the right knee. Come through a lunge. Bring the hands out wide. They can stay on fingertips, or onto blocks. Walk the hands even farther forward, 10 and 2. Launch into the right foot, lift the left foot, point the toes. Keep the right knee bent as much as possible. Hands are out and forward. Internally rotate the thigh bones here. Go with pointed toes at first. I know it's weird. Yeah. And then flex into the foot. And now really feel for that pigeon toe, the left heel coming out to the left. Slowly draw the left knee in towards the right. Step it down, forward fold. Inhale up half the way. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, come all the way up. Reach the arms up. And as you exhale, you'll fold all the way back down. Inhale up half the way. Exhale, you choose your way back to downward facing dog. Like a little, DIY, choose your own adventure. Good. Left leg lifts. Extend out of the heel. Internally rotate the thigh bones. Step the left foot forward. Center of your mat. So find that same lunge we were finding, the knees in the center of the sternum. And then walk the hands down the right hand edge of your mat. Wide-legged forward fold. Turn the toes to the right. Super awkward. Hands on fingertips. Turn the toes back normal. Neutral, wide-legged forward fold. And then left toes to the front. Internally rotate the right thigh bone. Right big toe to right outer heel, stretch away. Right pinky toe to right inner heel, stretch away. Find surface area, bend back into the left knee. Walk the hands towards the top of the mat, step into the center of the left foot. Cartwheel all the way up, warrior two. Yeah, and if you come into warrior two and you want to bring your hands to your hips and find your way, move your feet a touch, you can do so. Yeah, good. Hook onto opposite thumbs the non-habitual way. And again, internal rotation of the right thigh bone, external rotation of the left. Now step into the center of the left heel, center of the left foot rather, and lengthen the left leg. So imagine you could keep that long line of energy, pelvic floor to hands. Right thigh internally rotates as you turn the chest towards the top of the mat. Turn, turn, turn. Keep the right heel landing down for just a moment. Press down into the ball of the right foot as you pick up the heel. And imagine even here, you could pigeon toe the feet. The right heel will pigeon toe as you draw the frontal hip points more narrow. Again, pelvic floor to the hands, long line. Bend back into the left knee, come through a lunge. Very slowly bring the hands forward. 10 and 2, out wide and forward from you. Step into the left foot, keep the left knee bent, point the right toes as you lift the leg. Yeah, and you've got a couch there, awesome. Got like a bookshelf that's tethered to the wall. Bend into the left knee. Imagine it's the left knee that sends the gaze forward, right? Remember the lunge, the left knee in the center of the sternum. Imagine that, don't have to go there. Internally rotate the thigh bones. Now flex into the right foot and really pigeon toe the right foot out. And slowly draw the right knee towards the left, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, come up half the way. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, like your legs are spring-loaded. You come all the way up, sweep up. This is an inhale. Your exhale draws you back down, fold as you wish. Inhale, up half the way. And exhale, step back to downward facing dog, or move as you wish. Nice, Dave. Beautiful. All right. From dog, you're going to step your right foot forward. If you want to lift it and play with the rotation, you can do so. I'm pretty sure I've cemented it in your minds now, right? Draw the right knee into the center of the chest again. Use the hands if you need to. Draw the right knee forward to send the gaze forward, left heel back in space. This time, walk the hands down the left-hand side of your mat. Bend into the left knee as you do so. Flex into the right foot. And then internally rotate the thigh bone here. The toes will draw towards the left-hand side of your room. And then externally rotate the thigh bones. The toes will maybe go up towards the sky. And then press down into the left foot, come into your wide-legged forward fold. This time, fold as you wish here for about 5 breaths. So if you'd like to bring your hands down underneath the head, you may do so. If you want to reach them back, you may do so. Forward as you wish. You want to interlace behind the head. As you fold here, bring your awareness into your feet and imagine that you could get more volume in the feet, from the big toes to the outer heels, from the inner heels to the pinky toe side edge. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, tent onto fingertips. Turn the right toes to the right, kick the left heel out. Bend into the right knee, walk the hands forward, come up through warrior 2. Adjust your feet if you need to adjust your feet. As you bend into the right knee, now imagine right knee to left hip point can stretch away from each other. Interlace hook the thumbs up at the top, pelvic floor up to the fingertips. Slowly lengthen the right leg. Internally rotate the left thigh bone as you fold over the right leg, plugging the right hip back. Reach the torso, and then bring your right hand to the floor on the outside edge of the right shin, a block, or the right shin itself. If you're landing on the right shin itself, be wary of pressing down on the leg, setting the knee. As the hand comes down to whoever it's coming down to, again, recall the sensation of internal rotation of the left thigh bone, drawing the left hip off to the left. Externally rotate the right thigh bone to draw pubic bone to sternum, and find more dimension in triangle rather than the sort of lateral, linear, 2 planes of glass. Wish we would just never hear that again. And find more space, find more left to right, front to back, top to bottom here. Find more surface area of the feet. Find the 4 corners, stretch away. And once you have the structure of the legs, perhaps, maybe with pubic bone to sternum, lifting, maybe the underside of the right rib cage spirals up towards the sky, and you can look with your eyes towards your left hand. One more full breath here. Draw the left arm up and overhead. Look down, unstick the back heel, bend into the front knee, forward fold to the top of the mat. When you fold, find 2 fists with distance apart between the feet. Bend into the knees deeply, interlace the hands behind the head. Maybe the elbows come towards the shins. And then slowly roll yourself up. As you roll yourself up, bring the hands up towards the sky, again flipping the palms up towards the ceiling like we started with. Imagine the center of each foot driving up the center of each leg. Pelvic floor to the webbing of the hands. From here, shift weight into the left foot. Draw the right knee up. Take the interlace around the right knee. Imagine the left foot steps down to bring the right knee up. Even here, internally rotate the thigh bones just a touch, draw the hips back. And then externally rotate. Good. From here, take your right ankle, cross it over your left thigh, bend into the left knee. You can use your hands on the legs, on a wall, on a couch if you wish. Now, a lot of you were in class last week. Recall that cue of stretching your right knee away from your left hip bone. Right knee away from left hip bone gets longer. Left knee, right hip bone stretches away from each other. So once we have that dimension, again, play with internal, external rotation to find center, to find balance here in this posture. If you want to stay lifted with the chest, you can stay lifted. If you'd like to bend into the left knee even more and bring the hands down to the floor, you may do so. Regardless of where you move, keep working the dimensions of the pose. It doesn't really matter what it looks like, right? What matters is the measure. What matters is the orientation, finding the dimension, finding your volume. One more full breath here. Regardless of where you are, you're going to slide the right leg over the left and cross the feet in an Uttanasana. The right knee is the knee that you see. You're going to bend into the left knee so that you can draw the left knee into the back of the right and lift the gaze. From here, you're going to step the back leg back, drop the back knee down. You're going to cross-legged lunge, reach the arms up, hook the thumbs. Imagine you could internally rotate the thigh bones here, and then slowly release the hands down. Step the right leg back, cross-legged downward facing dog. The right knee is the knee that you see. Lift your left leg up, step it forward into the center of the mat. Step your right foot over to the right just a touch. Bring your left hand onto your left knee and center the knee in the sternum. Draw the knee forward, lift the gaze, draw the heel back, find your center. Walk the hands down the right-hand side of your mat. Come into your wide-legged forward fold. Bend into your right knee, tent onto the fingertips, and then lift the left toes off the floor. So it's kind of like a Cossack squat. For whatever reason, that posture doesn't work for my hips, so I don't know if I can actually call it without dropping down super low. But as you lift the toes up, internally rotate the left thigh bone. The toes still are lifted, but they're drawing down towards the ground. And then externally rotate the thigh bone, the toes go up. Like jazz hands, but with your feet. Good. And then drop the foot down. Come into a wide-legged forward fold. Subtle bend of the knees. Let the torso drape down towards the floor. Find the surface area of your feet. The ball of your foot to the outer edge of the heel stretches away from each other. Inner heel to pinky toe stretches away from each other. Do as you wish with your hands. If you like to invert, invert. Be mindful of where you are in your house, of dogs, of kids, bookcases. One more breath here. Tent on the fingertips, hands underneath the shoulders. Draw the left toes to the left. Kick the right heel out. Again, hands stay underneath the shoulders for just a moment. External rotation, left thigh bone, internal right. Now walk the hands towards the top of your mat. Bend into the left knee. Come all the way up, warrior two. Again, if you want to adjust your feet or bring your hands to your hips, you do so. Find the surface area, especially for the back foot, and then interlace the non-habitual way, right? Opposite thumb on top. Pelvic floor, up to the hands. Step into the center of the left foot. Lengthen the left leg. From here, internally rotate the right thigh. It'll send your right hip off to the right as you fold laterally over the left leg. And imagine it's still pelvic floor up to the hands, all the way, all the way, all the way. And then left hand comes down to the floor, a block, a couch. Again, if it's on your shin, it's really soft and light. Good. Externally rotate the left thigh bone, let it plug into the hip. Internally rotate the right thigh bone, let the right hip draw off to the right. Let that bring more dimension into the torso. Pubic bone to sternum draws longer. Yes, Farad. Nice with the block, Gary. Good. Find the surface area of your feet. And then once you've got that foundation of the legs, the left side of the rib cage could spin up towards the sky. Maybe the eyes find the right hand. And then breathe. I haven't said that in a while. Very slowly bring the right arm up and overhead. Look down, unstick the back heel. Step forward, forward fold. Again, it's 2 fists width distance apart between the feet. Bend into the knees, interlace the hands the non-habitual way behind the head. Bend the knees so much that maybe one day the elbows and shins will meet. Maybe they don't. And slowly roll yourself up to stand. As you come to stand, step down into the center of the feet. The hands flip up towards the sky. When you come up towards the sky, step into the right foot as if that could be the way the left knee lifts. Draw the interlace around the left knee. Find the internal rotation so that the butt sticks out. Right, sits bones widen. Good. And then externally rotate. Hip bones widen. You find your center. Good. Now the left ankle comes over the right thigh. Again, you can use as much as you need to find your center here. If you want to bring your hands to your hips, hands to the knees, hands to a windowsill, a couch. Regardless of where you are in the posture, find the left knee to the right hip bone, stretching away from each other. And then right knee, left hip bone, stretch away from each other. I might steer you back into center. And then again, imagine internal rotation and external rotation of the thigh bones. Finding all the ways that we can create more dimension in this posture, not quite going towards aesthetics, but going towards internal sensation. Dimension, volume. If you'd like to fold over the legs, you can fold over the legs. If you want to stay upright, you stay upright. Nice, Dave. Keep working that left knee to right hip, even if you have the balance. But especially if you don't, right? It's easier to do that orientation without trying to balance it as well. Nice, Gary. Nice, Mom. Okay, regardless if you're folded or still standing, slide the left leg in front of the right, cross-legged Uttanasana, forward fold. Bend the right knee into the left so it draws the gaze forward. From here, launch the back leg back towards the left-hand side of your mat. Slowly lower the left knee down. As you lower the left knee down, step into the right foot. Imagine you can internally rotate the thigh bones here. Hook the thumbs, come up for your low lunge. Good. From here, hands come to 10 and 2. Step the left foot back, find your cross-legged downward facing dog. In your cross-legged downward facing dog, come forward to plank pose. In your plank, find the heels back. Draw the left hand underneath your chest as if you wanted to place it underneath your sternum. Turn both heels up towards the ceiling and then out towards the right. Reach the right arm high towards the sky. Come into Vashisthasana. Yeah, if you want to drop your knee down, you can do so. It's the left knee that drops down. Reach the right arm up and overhead. Bring the right hand back down. Draw the heels up. You're in your cross-legged plank again. Draw the left hand out to the left. Bring the right leg and just slide it out in front of the left. Nothing too fancy. Right hand underneath your chest. Draw the heels up towards the ceiling and then drop them up and over until you come into Vashisthasana on the right side now. Left arm up towards the sky. Look down, left hand comes down, come back through your cross-legged plank. This time, just step your left foot to the left, right foot to the right, go really wide, land the knees down, big toes to touch, sink back, child's pose. And child, start to cultivate that volume of the breath again. If you'd like to count the breath, you may do so. And 2 more breaths here. And come up through tabletop. Draw your knees into center.
Sink the hips to one side and come into a wide-legged forward fold. If you'd like to come to the side because you don't like your heels to be on a hardwood floor, you can do so. But again, we're not going crazy wide here. We're coming out to 10 and 2. So make adjustments as you need to make adjustments. And we'll come into neutral, right? Big toes up towards the sky first. Hands on the knees, right? We do a lot of 10 and 2 in lunges with our hands out to 10 and 2. So just, you know, this is your measure right now. Hands on knees, recall 10 and 2. Bring the hands behind you. Drive the heels down, bend into the knees. Pelvic floor down, crown of the head up. Yeah, if you want to sit on a blanket, you can sit on a blanket too. That'll help you do that. And we're going to be moving a little bit. So if you're sitting on a block, be a little mindful. So drop the feet out to the right and start to come to sit up a little bit on the right hip a little bit more. Bring your left arm up. As you bring your left arm up, the right hand is on fingertips for me because I've got short limbs. It makes me feel taller. So left arm up, spiral the chest out towards the right. From here, you're going to sink back just a bit so you can draw the right heel in towards the groin. We're going to do one of two things, right? Left hand is going to come out to the left. You're going to roll up and over, internally rotate the left thigh bone. You're going to move your left foot behind you, and you're going to roll yourself into a pigeon. Now, Dave, that might not be the best bet for you. So if pigeon is like, no, today, you're going to come into that same spot, right? You're going to roll the feet out, hands come to here, and then you're going to bend into both knees. And you're going to come into that pinwheel shape or that 90-degree shape. And you're going to tent onto fingertips and walk your fingertips out. So those are your options. Drawing the knee in, rolling yourself into pigeon, left leg behind you, right knee bent. Or you're in your pinwheel. And regardless of what option you've chosen, I'm going to give you the same cues. So imagine right knee to left hip, you could lengthen away from each other. Right knee, left hip, lengthen away. And then left knee, right hip, lengthen away. Give yourself more volume in the pelvis, the torso with the breath. And if you're upright, and your gaze can travel all around your room, your house, close the eyes and keep working the internal cues. Right knee to left hip stretches away from each other. If you're in pigeon, you're going to gently send your hips out to the right so you can come back down. If you're in pinwheel, you're just going to lengthen your legs and come back to the place we started. Once you sink your hip down, you're going to come back into that wide-legged forward fold with the knees out, legs out, heels out, toes turned towards the right. Good, then roll yourself back through center. My legs went super wide there, so I'm bringing them back to 10 and 2. Bend into the knees, drive the heels down, turn the toes over to your left, start to come to sit on the left foot, reach the right arm up, and imagine that you could have so much length on the left and the right side of the waist as you flex into the heels. And know that you don't have to go to the same posture that you went to the other side, right? This is not about aesthetics, it's about sensation. So bend into the left knee and either draw the left heel towards the groin. You're gonna roll up and over into your pigeon or come into your pinwheel with both knees bent at a 90 degree. When you come into pigeon, there's gonna be a little bit more adjusting to be done, especially if you're on the side of your mat and you're just trying to find a way to be there comfortably. So if you're in your pinwheel, 90 degree, 90 degree, and you're still sitting up on that left hip just a bit more. Sides of the waist are really long. And if you feel like you can walk your hands forward, you walk your hands forward. If you don't, you don't, and that's just it. And the cues are the same. Left knee to right hip moves away from each other.
All right, right knee, left hip moves away from each other. If you're sitting up, close the eyes. And imagine pelvic floor to crown of the head. Imagine left to right, front to back, top to bottom, breathing yourself more voluminous. Just about 2 more breaths here. If you're in pigeon and laying all the way down, you bring yourself up. And out of the flexion of the knee, let the hips come down. If you're in pinwheel, lengthen the legs out. And draw yourself back through center. Your wide-legged forward fold. Walk the hands back, and again, just get slumpy. Get like, anti-yoga. Windshield wiper the feet, soften the legs. And then come up to sit, collect the knees in. If you're facing the side of your mat, you'll just turn back onto your mat and roll all the way down to the floor. When you roll down, draw the knees into the chest, give them a squeeze. If there's any one last thing that you feel like you must do before you can rest, you do so now. Be anything from a gentle spinal twist to setting yourself nice and proper, nice feet of the chair. Yeah, if you want to drape your backs of your calves, the backs of the knees over a prop or the side of a chair, a couch, a bed. And for those of you who are just so ready for rest that you're there now, count the breath again, and now lengthen the exhale out by 2 counts longer than the inhale. Those of you who are still moving, continue to move, and you'll settle down when you're ready. But if you're there and you're in it in your restful shape, nice, Gary. So count your inhale and lengthen out the exhale by 2. Feel the volume of left to right. Those of you who have your legs elevated, imagine that you could feel the femurs, the thigh bones drop really heavy into the pelvis. And feel the width of the sits bones and the hip bones. Those of you who are now settling into rest, lengthen your exhale out by 2 counts. Let the eyes soften. Imagine the eyes themselves drop back in the skull like they rest in hammocks. Back of the throat, lower jaw, the place between the brows softens and pools. Release any last technique with the breath. And allow the musculature or bones, connective tissue, even organs get heavier here. Invite your awareness back into the room that you're in. Start to draw the inhales in deeper as the awareness gets more localized on you, the internal. As you deepen the breath, take stock of the body. And if you'd like to come up to a seat, you take your time. And if you'd like to stay where you are, you stay where you are. As you move, do things that feel natural and organic to you. Keep the eyes soft. Keep the awareness internal. And once you land in your seat, allow the eyes to close. And take a moment to locate yourself. Top to bottom, crown of the head to pelvic floor. Left to right, front to back. And the center is you. Bring the hands to touch or rest them on your heart, whatever feels most nourishing to you. If you're seated, you'll drop the gaze down towards the hands. If you're not, you'll bring the hands up towards the head. In a gesture of deep gratitude for the ability, the willingness, the immense privilege to practice. To not just move our bodies, but to develop a greater awareness of polarities, of mediating from the center, of understanding where we go when things get tough, uncomfortable. Put the thumb knuckles to the third eye center. From me to you and all to each other. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. I will come unmute you if there's any questions or concerns. If you're watching a recording and you have a question or a concern, just feel free to email me. And thanks for playing.